Hey guys, this is David Wunderlich, and in this video I'm going to go over how Florida's defense did against Vanderbilt. The defense did not have a good start to the game, and a lot of that had to do with Vanderbilt's offensive line and tight ends being more physical than the Florida defensive front. Here's the very first play of the game, and you can see how it starts here. Vanderbilt's going to do something it did quite a lot, which is double team interior linemen. So these two guys are going to double team Kyrie Campbell. These two guys will double team Adam Schuler, leaving one-on-one blocking over here on Jabari Zuniga at the end. Florida does a decent job on this play because the Commodores only get 3 yards, but you can see as this play starts, here is the handoff, and already Vanderbilt is pushing the line of scrimmage back. Here is Schuler, he's already been pushed back 2 yards, and the running back is only just now getting the ball. So they end up doing an okay job here. At first, he wants to go right up the middle, but Schuler has fought off his block. Campbell is coming around on this side of his block, so he has to bounce it a little bit. Here Zuniga is now getting the inside track on his guy, and so the running back is going to have to bounce it out again. Now there is a lot of open space over here, but Donovan Steiner is coming in from the safety spot, and he's going to end up making the tackle. So the linemen did not get any push-up field whatsoever, but they were able to delay the running back, force him to bounce it out, and let the safety help. So here's what that looks like. Now I wanted to point out what happens when the safety helps out on that first play, because here's the first play of the next drive, when the Commodores were really backed up. As you remember, they get a giant run out of this. Now they're going to do the same thing and double team the interior guys and have single blocking over here on the edge. As the play starts to go forward, the running back is coming up and he's thinking he wants to go this way through that hole. However, David Reese has done a good job. He's coming in this way to plug the hole, but so is the safety Brad Stewart. If you remember last time, Donovan Steiner came and had the outside. And while this guy over here, Jeremiah Moon, does have the outside, he is held up in a block. Stewart is also going to come in to try to get to this hole, but he gets too close to it and ends up tripping over Jeremiah Moon's feet. And so now Moon had been held up in that block. Stewart is on the ground because he tripped, and there is nobody over here anymore, and the back takes off. Donovan Steiner kind of whiffs on the tackle there on the sideline, and he gets a bunch more yards. So here it is in real time. It's the same kind of situation where the Vanderbilt offensive line gets a good push. Florida's defensive line does not get a good push. And this time, the safety who is up to help, and you can see here, Stewart is already pretty far up. He's nowhere near as far back as Steiner was on that first play of the game. He's going to get too close, trip over Jeremiah Moon's feet, and it becomes a bust. So now I want to talk about how Florida got some coverage busts, often with the linebackers. This is the 75-yard screen pass, so obviously there must have been a bust if they were able to do that. Vanderbilt does this with some good play design here. The key thing that makes this play work is this guy right here. He is going to be doing a shallow cross, and that is what is going to clear up all the space for Keyshawn Vaughn to get out into the open field. As he goes over, the person who's lined up on him is going to follow, and both of these linebackers are in zone coverage. David Reese right here is going to notice this guy coming on the cross, and he's going to drop back. Rashawn Joseph is going to hold in place at first because he's going to see the running back come in front of the quarterback. There isn't even really a fake handoff action, but just that movement is enough to keep him forward a little bit before he drops back. Now, as you can imagine, with this underneath coverage, David Reese has this half of the field, and Rashawn Joseph has this half of the field. As the running back comes over here and gets the screen, all 3 of these Gators here will have been drawn to the offense's right, leaving absolutely no one on the left. So here the cover guy is following him, David Reese has dropped back, and now Rashawn Joseph is also dropping back. Reese is dropping back because he noticed the receiver coming this way. Joseph is just dropping back this way because he has the offense's right. That means the running back over here is just going to come out here, and there's obviously no one around. And so now because of that bust, he's got 2 lead blockers, and he's a really fast guy, so he's able to make things happen in the open field. So here it is in real time, and watch how that one single route draws 3 defenders and completely clears the far side of the field. Here's another play a little later on where the linebackers get themselves out of position again. What happens on this play is it's just going to be a run over to the left side, nothing terribly special, and the tight end is going to pull over this way, and he's going to try to block Ja'Kai Polite coming off the edge. Now, tight end doesn't make that block, but the quarterback, as he comes back, is going to do bootleg action, and so both linebackers are going to come over this way because I think they're worried about this tight end slipping out over here into the flat. And so because both linebackers head that way, the Gators are going to be short players over on this side, and that's where the run's going to go. So we watch the play start. They first came up this way, which makes sense since the running back's going here, but they both seem to be noticing the tight end coming this way. So both of them end up changing their momentum. Reese has come this way, Joseph has come this way, but the running back still has it, and Vanderbilt did a good job of getting a seal block on this side. The tight end gets enough of him, the running back's going to get through and get a nice gain. So here it is in real time, and watch how the linebackers initially go in the correct direction, but they notice the tight end, they notice the bootleg action, and so they're both going to end up going over to the offense's right, leaving the Gators short on the offense's left. So here's a play later on in the same drive, and Vanderbilt is going to get a touchdown. Now I'm just going to draw a line right here up the middle of the formation. Vanderbilt is going to have its offensive line blocked to the right, and because of that, the center, the right guard, and the right tackle will all be over on this side of the formation. The jet sweep makes a fourth. Tight end over here is actually going to pull around and go to the other side. And so with the tight end and the left guard and tackle, they're going to have 3 on that side. And the running back is going to come up and cut over to the left side to make 4. Florida already has these 3 guys in the box to the offense's right, and because of the jet sweep action, David Reese is going to come over this way and make 4. On the other side of the formation, Florida is only going to have these 3 guys right here. And again, Vanderbilt is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. And so Vandy is going to have a numbers advantage on the left side of the formation as this play begins. So we watch it start. Vanderbilt's offensive line, again, has done a really good job. You can see they've got a lineman pushed all the way 3-4 yards back. And now Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is coming up and run support, but he doesn't really attack this all that well. I think because he's thinking he needs to cover the outside in case the running back bounces it that way. So because he doesn't really crash into this gap, that's going to let the running back get upfield further. And now he can just bulldoze his way into the end zone. So Vanderbilt, by lining the tight end up on this side and doing jet sweep motion, they get the defense to overload the right side. But he pulls over, and that means Vanderbilt's going to have a numbers advantage on the left side when the running back heads that way. And because Florida is undermanned over there, Gardner-Johnson can't commit because he's worried about covering 2 gaps, and that allows the running back to get upfield and push his way into the end zone. Florida's defense did shore up itself in the second half, but they still had some big busts. This was one of them. Florida is just going to have one-on-one on the outside, and Vanderbilt is doing jet sweep motion again. Jeremiah Moon is going to be rushing up the field, and so if anyone is going to cover the jet sweep, it's going to have to be David Reese coming out this way. So Vanderbilt starts the play, and Reese does come over this way, but he sees that it was play action. The receiver does not have the ball on the jet sweep, and so because of that, Reese is then going to try to rush in the backfield. You can probably see what's coming. Because Reese came into the backfield, that meant there is no one out here covering Kalijah Lipscomb, Vanderbilt's most prolific and best receiver. And so Kyle Shermer can hit him with an easy pass, and he's got a lot of green grass to go before anyone even encounters him. That was a complete bust by the defense, and it's really not excusable because Lipscomb, again, is one of Vanderbilt's best players. He leads the SEC in receptions. There should never be a time when no one is covering him. Finally, there's one more big gain that I can show you. This is desperation time for Vanderbilt. They're down 10 with under 6 minutes to go. It's 3rd and 10, and Vandy has been moving the ball somewhat on this drive. They've been fairly inefficient, but they've been making key plays on 3rd and 4th down to keep the chains moving. So Todd Grantham has finally run out of patience. He's either rushed 5 or 4 so far on this drive. This time he's going to rush 6 because he's going to have David Reese come in and the safety also come in on blitzes. Vanderbilt, for its part, is going to have this receiver go vertical. This receiver is going to go vertical, and the tight end is going to come up and attack the middle of the field on a post. Because these guys are blitzing, that's going to leave space open in the middle of the field since the safety is going to drop back playing center field. And so the tight end is going to get inside leverage, and he's going to be wide open in the middle on his post. So Florida was betting it could get to the quarterback before he had time to throw. It could not, and Vanderbilt gets a 20-yard gain to keep moving down the field. Now, like I said, Florida's defense did get things straightened out a lot better in the second half. Here is a good example of it. Vanderbilt is going to do its double teams again. So these guys are going to double team, but Kerry Clark right here is going to attack the middle of the double team, and he's going to get good leverage. So if we watch the play start, you can see he got a good jump, and so he's already behind the line of scrimmage, and he is pushing directly in between these 2 players. Watch it continue. This guy is releasing upfield like he's supposed to because he wants to do a downfield block, but Clark had been pushing right in between that double team, and that's going to allow him to come in and get a good hit on the running back and stop him for a loss. Here's a play where the defensive line did not really get upfield very much. You'll see them come up and then get spun a little bit, and so it's going to look like there's an edge right there on the right side. But the run is coming to the left, and David Reese makes an excellent play on this one. So we start the play coming up, and the pulling lineman is coming around, and it's his job to block on Reese. Reese is going to end up sidestepping him, though, just like that, and he gets his hands on the running back. He doesn't end up making the tackle, but that does slow him down. And so Florida has two players coming up this way, and as the running back tries to spin out, they both get a stop. So here's what this one looks like, and watch David Reese. Finally, here's one more play. Florida is matching heft with heft. They've got their 3 down linemen. They also have 4 linebackers in the box, and they've got a safety lined up to make 8. Vanderbilt is going to try to get this to the left, and this time, the defensive line does a good job of occupying blockers. Now, they're right on the line of scrimmage. They haven't been pushed back at all, and that's important, because as this running back comes over to the left, he's going to look for a cutting lane. So he can't cut this way, because Adam Schuler has gotten good leverage over here. He now has 3 possible ways he can go. He can go this way, he can come around the tight end, but still inside, or he can bounce out entirely. Jeremiah Moon right here has stood up the tight end, and he's going to kind of rotate over to cover this gap. Florida's going to end up with 2 guys coming into the gap over here, and Trey Dean coming out from the corner spot is going to get the outside. And so they've got 4 guys covering 3 gaps, and you should like Florida's odds when that is the case. So the running back saw 2 guys filling that gap. He decided to cut it in, but Jeremiah Moon has come up and gotten around his block from the tight end. And Florida stops it for a short gain instead of letting the running back get a crease. Dan Mullen said in a press availability this week that he thought his team was mentally tired coming into this game. That's not surprising since this was the 7th consecutive game with new schemes on both sides of the ball. It kind of showed there in the first half, especially along the defensive line where they were just getting pushed around. The linebackers were also having some busts, and that's uncharacteristic for them this year. So in the second half, they still had a couple of busts, but overall, the play got a lot better. The defensive line stopped getting pushed upfield, and the linebackers started filling the gaps like they're supposed to. That was the biggest factor for the turnaround since the offense had been efficient all day. It really hinged on the defense cleaning themselves up, and they were able to do that after the half.